to, Craig, you good? Go ahead. Okay. And the amendment to the amendment, which is to change SREC committee man and committee woman to, on the SREC, and add the word as before county chair for grammatical consistency. All in favor of the amendment to the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
The noes have it. The motion fails. We're back on the
Chairman.
original motion.
Brandon Moore, SD 21. I have an amendment to the amendment.
Okay, please state your amendment to the amendment.
This was suggested to me from my Senate district, that we add a potentially friendly amendment to include paid staff of legislator or compensated employees of legislators and PACs.
Please provide the suggestion language to the secretary.
All right, I will email momentarily.
I think I heard what he said, but I'm not sure. I was waiting to see what it says on the screen. Yeah. I mean, cheese with peanut butter crackers. This is my breakfast here. So this is the numbers.
What are they talking about?
They're trying to get his amendment up there on the screen. They're trying.
It's sent, Rachel.
It is county office, removal of county chairman in office. Yes, it can in the current rules. We've added something that proves the current rules.
Chairman, I have a point of information.
Trying to get us-
Dr. Melinda Morris, SD 13.
Yes.
I think the issue that is going to be addressed by this proposed amendment is also addressed in Rule 42, which we're going to address later this morning. Part that adds elected federal, state, county offices.
I tried to see what the amendment is so I can decide
Yep.
if it's a friendly amendment or not.
Yeah.
Getting it on thumb drive for you.
Well, we're not.
Mr. Chairman,
Proposed amendment 3, I don't know
right here, Carmen.
Go ahead, Carmen.
Point of information, in the chair's opinion, does 8L cover kind of most of what they're trying to get at with this amendment?
The qualifications for SRC committee and committee woman are pretty too.
Could you just articulate so I
L,
you go after or its partners or affiliates, I would insert an elected official, a public elected official, or PAC.
Carmen, to address your issue. 8L, it's a matter of a state executive committee, county executive committee, or state convention committee may vote on an issue for which the member is a registered lobbyist or has a substantial interest as defined by local government code, section 171.002 with respect to the issue to be voted upon. That deals with a subset of what this is dealing with, but this is much broader in that it would prohibit any person not only who's a lobbyist, but also who receives any compensation from the state party from voting on issues relating to the state party.
Understood. Thank you.
Is
Mr.
the
Chairman,
language correct, Brandon?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Daniel Hunt, SD3. If he would add the word employee after the word PAC, then I would accept that as a friendly amendment.
Brandon?
Happy to. I thought it was covered with the first part, any individual who is a compensated employee of, but if it needs it, then I'm fine with that.
I think it does because after the word affiliate, you have or a public elected official. So that kind of separates
Sure.
it from the compensated. So I think you need to say or a PAC employee.
So I guess we would just add compensated employee of in front of public official, public elected official.
No, I don't think that,
This is a matter of.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think that would fix it. The way it is on the screen now, I would accept as a friendly amendment.
Brandon, what's on the screen now?
Um,
Is that acceptable or do you want to go with your original word?
I'm fine accepting that. My question then, yes, I will accept that. I do have a point of information.
Go ahead.
If we add that way, are we going to just capture public elected officials or are we capturing their employees?
That wouldn't include employees.
Does that work?
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you.
Just get rid of the word or between partners and affiliates.
Sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Please give your bit of information.
Either chair or public elected official.
So party elected official.
Arguably.
Very non-committal.
Mr. Chairman,
Well, but his
Yes.
his motion.
I raise a point of order that this amendment is not actually germane to Rule 8 and is in fact, because it's covering the qualifications for membership on the SREC, which is covered in Rule 42.
Point well taken. The chair sustains the point of order and we'll take it up in Rule 42, which deals with the qualifications for SREC committee men and committee women.
That's fine. Like yours, we'll submit yours when that comes.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, Martin SD 30.
Yes.
Again, Gene Martin SD 30. Was two minor changes to Rule 8E.
Um,
Voting members, the county executive committee. It get moved. This one's saying to get moved.
Rule 42. I see rule 42 talks about electing many people and all that. Anything that doesn't move to better. We'll talk about 8S. It does fit in rule 42 better, I think. Yeah. Yeah. It is 8K.
Again, in order to simplify this, make a motion to add the words physical or email in context of providing notification to members where it says to their most recent address.
Here that I better write.
Hopefully that's not controversial.
I don't know why it got changed.
Okay, is that accurate? Ian, is that your amendment?
Yes, it is.
Okay, is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, point of information. Daniel Hunt,
Yes.
SD3.
Go ahead.
What subsection are we looking at?
E, 8E.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Okay. Second by Rick. We're now, do you want to present?
They're here in 8P right now.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I think the addition of physical or email provide clarification as necessary. The second part of this, there have been issues where when leadership in a county executive committee occurs, where people have attempted to fill vacancies to basically affect how the organizational meeting will be run. And I think we even heard testimony from a delegate yesterday on this subject. It's simply a request to ensure that any changes to the bylaws of that organization are finalized prior to filling any vacancies in the membership of the CEC.
Thank you. Anyone else for or against?
My idea.
Yes.
That's what they're saying.
Okay, state it. State your amendment.
Yeah, it's a friendly amendment. I hope. I think I would add in as a sentence right after this that
Right now.
new precinct chairs may not be voted on at the organizational meeting.
now they're an eight.
That's not,
How did Pete get rigged up?
that's not germane to the current amendment.
Okay, so this is.
We're talking about the agenda for the organization meeting, so I
Yeah, we're talking specifically about that one sentence that's underlined. You could make that as an amendment after we take care of Gene's, but that's not a proper amendment to the amendment.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, SD3, what's potentially a friendly amendment?
Go ahead, Danny.
Uh, I'm trying to figure out the exact wording, but the first act should actually be swearing in the elected precinct chairs because that's voting on bylaws, then bylaws, then any other business.
I believe we're restating what I intended.
Well, I can't read it and it's not showing. Oh, now it shows up on the computer. Okay, the friendly amendment then would be swearing in the elected precinct chairs. Just put the word elected in front of the precinct chairs.
Oh,
Gene, is that okay?
I accept that.
Accept it. Okay,
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, point of inquiry,
yes.
DLR ST24. So what would be the effect if, because CECs do not necessarily have to adopt the bylaws. They try to, but I've often seen CECs where they wind up not adopting the bylaws at their organization meeting. They don't adopt them till months later. And of course, per the rule now, they're still operating under their old bylaws. What would be the effect of that if they failed to they swore in their elected precinct chairs, then they failed to adopt any bylaws?
It's addressed in the following sentence.
I understand that. My question then would be, that came up that there are some county executive committees that are trying to put in additional precinct chairs. If they didn't adopt it, then they could just go ahead and put in additional precinct chairs because now that means they're still operating under their old bylaws.
It says adoption of bylaws or rules, if any. So if they're not adopting new bylaws, that wouldn't apply, and the first required action would be the swearing in of the precinct chairs.
And then any other business out of that, including swearing in representing precinct chairs. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll go to vote on the amendment. In red, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes.
Mr. Chairman,
Now, Matt, you
I'd
can
like to make an amendment.
make your amendment.
Thanks, sir. I'd like to add in that sentence says election of new precinct chairs shall not be considered at the organizational meeting. Shall not be in order at the organizational meeting. Yeah, appointment of new chairs, sorry.
Appointment.
Appointment of new chairs shall not be in order at the organizational meeting.
Is there a second? Okay. The second, Matt, do you want to speak to it?
Sure, and this just follows on with what Gene was saying and what several of us, I think, have seen at organizational meetings where a chair will try to pack the committee with people that they favor. So this will force it. And in Dallas, we have a vacancy committee that precinct chairs have to go through. Any new precinct chair that's going to be voted on by the body, they have to go through a committee first for review before they can be considered on the floor. So this will just keep people from trying to pack the vote in their favor at the org meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
Brandon Moore, SD21.
Yeah, for or against, Brandon?
Actually wanted to ask if the author would consider a friendly amendment to establish perhaps a population threshold or something. Because some of your smaller counties only meet, like, I think required by the bylaws twice a year, and it may be one of their very few opportunities to actually fill vacancies. So a population threshold may help with this.
I would consider considering it if you had a specific recommendation on the population threshold.
10,000. So,
So counties with 10,000
well,
registered voters
actually,
or fewer.
okay, I've had both 10,000 and 20,000 suggested, with 20,000 being the
20,000
used elsewhere
be twice a year.
and the rules. So say 20,000, I suppose.
So it would be amended to 4 counties with registered voters in excess of 20,000. This applies.
He changed it to 20.
I'll accept that.
Okay. He's accepting the friendly amendment. And how does it word it?
So start at the sentence, 4 counties with registered voters in excess of 20,000,
Yeah.
comma.
Okay.
Relation County.
That's good.
Want to speak?
Richard.
Marcelin, SD 15. I speak in opposition to this.
The county.
There are a lot of people that are on the ballot that are generally precinct chairs, but since they're on the ballot for any particular thing, dog catcher, Congress, whatever, they can't be on the ballot as a precinct chair, but they would also like to be a participant in the regular proceedings of the future. So, like for instance, I ran for House District 138. I'm not on the precinct list. And so they were going to appoint me as a precinct chairman there at the org list, at the org meeting. And then I was going to run, which I have done for many years, for a committee chairmanship or a committee place. I couldn't do that if we did the other. And this prohibits a lot of folks. I understand that there's a problem in some places, but you have to just get your voters out and stop, because there's a lot of people that can't be on the ballot or failed to file previously, and they were precinct chair, and then they wanted to be part of that. So in particular, it's just the fact that people that can't be on the ballot should be able to be on the precinct list.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond or no?
Yeah, you have time.
Yeah, so Josh, that sounds a little bit like a process problem with the way things are run in Harris County. And I don't know if you can restructure your process to solve that, because all you would do, what we do in Dallas is we would kick those people that like failed to file or whatever to the next executive committee meeting, which might be just a month later, and then they could be put on. So if you're saying the process is that you would, by being delayed a month, be ineligible for election by the body to certain roles within the body, then maybe they could just shift the appointment of those people back 30 days. Or, I mean, it sounds like a process problem for me. What your problem is?
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on 1 second. You still got time. Who was that?
Armin Calderon, SD 27. I have a point of information and I want to speak against. So my point of information is, can a county chair appoint precinct chairs with the approval of the executive committee?
Well, no.
Okay. Now, can I speak against now?
Yeah.
They don't jump the line. I don't think anyone else is waiting. But
Good to go again.
first off, there's an issue in a county, and now we're trying to make a rule to govern 254 counties that may not have this issue. I'll speak from experience in Oasis County. We have a very strong precinct development committee. They're recruiting precinct chairs. We have precinct chairs that have been waiting, or one we that want to be put in the executive committee as soon as possible. We already have a dead zone, I believe, between the primary and the organizational meeting where you can appoint. And now we're not going to be able to appoint at our organizational meeting, which is usually the most attended meeting of the executive committee. And we're trying to build our party, and now we're putting more restrictions on it because one county had an issue. My other point is, how can a county chair pack it with more precinct chairs if the current precinct chairs that were elected don't agree with it? They can just say, no, don't appoint all these people. They can, right? Does everyone understand that? So I think this is a rule for one county or maybe a few, and it's going to affect other counties in a negative way. So I'm against this amendment.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, ST3,
Yes.
speak against.
Go ahead.
This is something that should be contained in the bylaws that were adopted in the previous sentence for each county on a county by county basis. There are, as has been stated many times, there are counties that have precinct chair waiting, and we want to get in as soon as we can. And so if you don't want to have appointed precinct chairs appointed at your first meeting, put it in your bylaws because you've now adopted the bylaws. So,
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Please state your point of information.
Are not all the county, at the organizational meetings, the counties do not have functioning bylaws until that meeting is over, correct? Their old
Not
bylaws
necessarily. If they adopt it during the meeting, as soon as the bylaws are adopted, they would have functioning bylaws. If they fail to adopt, it would be the end of the meeting. Yes.
Allow me to rephrase. When walking into the meeting, your previous county bylaws are not in effect, correct?
That's correct.
Correct. Okay. Anyone else for or against? Good, Susan.
I'm against that, this amendment on the not appointing them at an organizational meeting, because the example that has been given is really not applicable because uh, our rules call for the county CEC to have put a section in the bylaws of how to and what the process would be to fill vacancies. And what you're talking about here is the filling of vacancies. And since that would be covering everything, then the whatever was put in there could not be overridden by the county chair just making random appointments.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dan. And then John. Dan.
Back to what I spoke about early yesterday. We are a grassroots driven party from the bottom up. It would be in support actually of what Daniel was saying a minute ago. It would be more appropriate, in my flawed opinion, to keep this as close as possible to the people that are affected. If this is not a problem in your county and it actually helps you to get precinct chairs to be able to appoint and vote on them at your organizational meeting, we should not as a body here make it apply once again 253 counties where it's not a problem.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak against the amendment.
First thing I'm going to do, Dan. Dan.
Yeah, so this is Dan Pickens, SD 28. I'd speak in favor of this. The problem with what is going on here is if they present bylaws, they don't pass the bylaws, then technically, you have the current bylaws that were in effect before the organizational meeting. That's really not what concerns me. What concerns me is people who are brought forth at the organizational meeting technically have not been vetted by a group to make sure that they truly are Republican and have voted in the Republican primary. That's why, at least in Taylor County, from what I understand, we're going to go ahead and probably table any nominations at the organizational meeting precinct chairs until we establish or review a vacancy committee to make sure that these people are technically, quote, technically okay to pass as precinct chairs. I may not agree with their political views, but we need to verify that they are true Republicans that should be precinct chairs. And that will be done by a vacancy committee, which will be filled a month later at the next executive committee meeting.
Anyone else?
I'd like to speak against the amendment.
Who's that? Wilson? Yeah. Go ahead.
Point of information,
Who?
David Westbrook, SD19.
Go ahead.
In the opinion of the chair, is there anything that would prohibit the body from having its organizational meeting, adjourning, and then having another meeting directly following the organizational meeting?
No. Not aware of anything.
I'd like to speak against the amendment.
Possibly notice. That's all I can think of. Go ahead.
I'd like to kind of,
He did it. All right.
I'd like to put forward that the will of the body needs to prevail.
Yes.
And we're talking about local control here. And I understand about if you're greater than 20,000 people, you typically have a vacancy committee. I would also offer that there's been instances where vacancy committees don't operate as well as you would like. And so by this amendment, you'd be taking away the will of the body. If the body does not want to approve their precinct chairs at the organizational meeting, all they have to do is vote no. I will be voting against this amendment.
Running out of time, but anyone else? Okay. We're going to go to vote. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
The nays have it. The motion fails. Anything else on Rule 8?
Mr. Chairman, Chris Bird, SD25.
Yes.
I have a motion that I would like to introduce.
Please do so.
Okay, I would give you precise reference, but it's now moved around a couple of times.
Hold on 1 second, Chris. Entire motion. Okay. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Sure, thank you. I did email a few days ago to our secretary an earlier version of this, but there is a list of bad acts, if you will, that's listed as misconduct in office. On our digital form, it shows it to be under subpart L. In our print form, it shows to be under subpart. And just a minute ago, I think it was under M. So it's under the elected party officials' misconduct in office, and there's a list of 5 items which I would like to add a 6th.
Still on this one.
It's under rule. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Rule N.
At the very end of 5 and add a 6.
Just to review, Jean's was passed because Jean's was passed, yours was not.
That's the list there.
We're accepting a friendly amendment.
I'm sorry.
He's wanting to.
Okay, just read it out loud. All right. So we would go to the end of 5 and I'll just put a semicolon and then or and probably just put an or after 4. The added language would read as follows: knowingly and materially promoting, advocating, financing, going too fast, okay, or deriving benefit from any activity comma, enterprise, comma, or organization that promotes terrorism or is in direct and material conflict with or otherwise eroding the legislative priorities, comma, core principles of the Republican Party of Texas as defined in the preamble of the party platform described in Rule 43A or the party platform, period.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Daniel Hunt,
Yes.
SD3.
Please state your point of order.
I don't think we had a vote on the words adoption of bylaws and rules, if any, shall be the first required action.
We did. Yeah, that was Gene's amendment. If you remember, Matt initially poses an amendment to the amendment, but it's ruled non-germane. So then Gene actually had his amendment passed, and Matt put his up separately. That second vote was on Matt's.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So Gene's amendment did pass.
So, yeah, he's right. Yeah.
I think what happened is actually it was processed.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Craig LaCarty. Chris, do you want to present your amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think for the most part, this amendment should speak for itself. Basically, it is intended by the author to serve as kind of a vanguard, a safe haven, if you will, for the party to feel confident that all elected officials are in fact in harmony and not working against either our platform, our principles, our legislative priorities. I don't believe we have anything like this anywhere in our governing documents at all. I think we're probably nearing a time where we're going to see this to be very beneficial. And I move for passage.
I have a
Thank you. Yes, Brenda.
Brenda Platt, SD12. I'm in opposition to this. I'm a precinct chair and an activist, and terrorism could be something that is put on me because I stand up against something, and I don't want to be called a terrorist. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry.
Yes.
With the wording, I'm wondering, are our principles a part of the preamble or are they separate from the preamble?
There's a preamble in this principles.
Yeah, I think they're separate.
Okay, then I would have an amendment then.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the amendment would be, and I hope this is a friendly amendment,
Accepted.
would be to just spell it out. Otherwise, let's see, or principles of the Republican Party of Texas, principles or preamble of the Republican Party of Texas. And then as defined in, or as described in the Rule 43A or the platform.
Point of information.
Please state the point of information.
I think 43A, where it states that the principles are in the preamble. I think it says principles included in the preamble of the platform.
No, 43. Platform and principles. More than 20 principles included in the.
Yeah, that would be correct with the amendment. But now if there's the discussion, that's why I asked the inquiry. Are they part of the is the principles part of the preamble or not? So. Yeah, they're separate in the platform.
The They are separate in the platform, but Rule 43A refers to them as being inclusive.
So now you put me in a conundrum, okay?
Well, we haven't gotten to 43A yet, so that put that on your list.
37 says the same thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Who is this?
Randy Dunning,
Oh,
SD2.
go ahead.
I'd like to propose a friendly amendment, and that is just simply.
Hold on one
Okay.
second before you do.
Okay.
Is Andy's accepted, Chris?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Is Andy's friendly amendment accepted?
Just a second before he does that. Let's just end it at the platform and just don't say as defined in RPT rule number 43A. Would that be acceptable then as well? Because we're just saying the preamble and principles. That's what we're after. Just end it right there.
That's acceptable.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recommend a friendly amendment that instead of the word terrorism, we use the term designated terrorist organization. The government already has one of those lists.
Is that what the state government refers to as also?
I believe so, yes.
So that term would encompass state government and federal
I
government?
believe so. I think the state uses the federal.
Mr. Chairman, may I comment to that?
I'm sorry, Chris, what did you say?
I just wanted to add a comment to that. If I may.
Go ahead.
Currently, our state statutes are woefully inadequate when it comes to defunding terrorism. If you take a look, it's more or less centered on street gangs. The reason for the broader term terrorism is it's intended to catch a broader net than street gangs. We may be aware that Governor Abbott did make an attempt back in November of 25 with with his proclamation. However, much of that is not supportable by statute. The federal statutes are also morphing around as we have FTOs that are occasionally being designated, but this is intended to be a broader description than what the federal government tells us to do, and certainly what our state statutes are limited in.
Thank you. So it's not accepted. Anyone else for or against? Justin?
And my friend Chris, I do just want to ask a few questions because let's say I believe we have a plank in the platform that promotes the federal government, for example, needs to disclose all its classified information about UFOs. So let's say I disagree with that, and I say, nope, for the good and stability of society, I disagree with that plank, and I don't think it should happen. I think it should stay classified. Under this definition, me advocating that it stay classified means I'm knowingly and materially promoting any activity that is in direct or material conflict with the Republican Party of Texas platform. Now, I know there's a lot of ways to get there, but there's a lot of parts to that. And what I'm reading that is this basically requires every party official to endorse and agree with every single one of the over 200 planks. And then when we get to the principles of things like personal accountability and responsibility, if a person files for bankruptcy, have they failed to display personal responsibility and accountability and avoiding certain debts? My concern is that this will open a can of worms of intra-party litigation, not before courts, but amongst ourselves, that will, uh, I fear, may be weaponized. And so that's my concern. I'm happy to change my mind, but that is my concern that I would request the author address.
I tell you what, it's 10 o'clock right now. We're going to start public testimony in a couple minutes. Why don't we take a 5-minute bathroom break, stand at ease, come back in at 10:05. And we'll take this up when we come back. And I think I have something for Chris that'll help.
Been called a terrorist before. 'Cause I was at the Capitol saying this is our house. They shut us out, banned them chairs, and I was outside. I had people putting on. I was a terrorist. Like so, this to me, there's wheat. Going fast. And they don't give me language and it.
So basically, doing that.
But his complaint is that it's under the penal.
No, this is what it was.
Yeah.
Designated a terrorism. But he does. To know when. And it's what he is. I'm not worried about it.
So I've got some hard waters too.
Yeah. You know, that tough. All that time daily. Right.
I'm usually strong like.
No. I never moved. Two moves in golf swing. I listen, I have lived the same house since 1994. And I started in SD8, ended up in SD16, and now I'm in SD2. I go get such sourcing. Gas prices. Yeah. Bruce Bishop. And how shoot. Sitting in front of she's charming when they out. I don't have to wear it. John, you ever gonna run away? Well, I'm not gonna run against Bruce. Bruce. Where can you get to Lydia? Yeah, I mean, great to watch. I think it becomes for everybody. They're charging against it. Jamie, quite happy. I'm periodically just tapped by all day. Evil Annie, quite on my phone here. Yes. Just in fine as my friend. The addresses in our flag.
No. I'll
Bigger.
which one are we at? A
With,
knowingly promoting
entertainment financing or derived benefits from an enterprise or organization that promotes terrorism or is a direct material conflict with the otherwise eluding the legislative priorities or principles of the Republican Party of Texas. Define principles of the preamble of the Republican Party. It's the where those things
are like, okay. So advocating or engaging
nobody can actually because the concepts are psychotic. And French shirt.
No, I'm not worried about the game. I'm not worried. Well, it's now they have content naturals. The sanctity of human innocent life. So if you have an abortion,
You should be charged with murder.
I don't know how that does assuage one of my concerns rereading it. But
Listen, I'm after people that are
I get
somebody else.
so you'll worry about
I'm just saying we need.
Let me first apologize. That's not what I meant. I meant the way that it was. That people are going to read other very broad things. I apologize.
That's all right.
That's not what I meant. And what I meant is not
Especially if you don't have
I do. I mean, personal.
That's your broad understanding, but
He knows how to stay
it's within the law. Within the law.
So this is very, you know, his. The sanctions were just so returned.
To them, it's the most important thing in the world. So then it's very common. I'd say 99%.
I think it's also.
You get a schedule.
Basically, I think our movie is already seen. That was. Because I guess it just says to loving me, nothing out of schedule. Anybody else said, certainly is. Bunch, just a little matters. See, I acted this directly.
Drill rule. It's 46.
Right.
4 now.
Okay. This damn work that's in that. Because we just couldn't figure out.
But you knowingly and merely
So, Saturday.
promoting, advocating, financing, or deriving a benefit from any activity. Benefit could be,
Almost, and I was able to show.
it could be societal benefit, it could be a political benefit. Sure, this is.
Right now,
That's not what it says.
working maps, if it's on the screen, sometimes some later, 5 minutes before it shows up.
Well, most of the time we say driving it. So, obviously, Now she did knowingly and materially.
It sounds like those are controversial.
Legislative priorities or principles of the Republican Party. Yeah, but she's driving a benefit. She is driving a benefit. She's getting a mail. From an organization we don't know. So let's say after the stop. Yeah, or something. Yeah. There's something that I guess the race. Let's say it does. Yeah, let's whatever it is. And Adam
Adam Huggins and Eric Blake should start making their way to the mic.
My word to the amendment. So they're just reading on.
Just read it and figure it out.
Well, the secretary is the lady in the red sleeves.
Oh, here it is.
We ever finish this?
What's silly when you do it? Rule 8A. Tell me your name again. It's Lois. Lois. ALL. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
SD1.
You get started.
Russ County. Oh, Hale is my.
We're good.
I've not
Thank you.
turned down, but if it's agreed to.
Okay. First up, Adam Huggins, Bowie County.
Bowie County, sir.
Bowie County.
Adam Huggins, SD1, Bowie County. Gentlemen,
Yeah.
I look at our Rule 44, and I know y'all spent a lot of time on it last night, yesterday, all day. I look at it, and it's lacking in many ways. I think there's a lot of confusion to be drawn out of it, so I spent some time doing my own rewrite, and then the Honorable Dan Hunt, wherever he's at over there, went to work with it and made it better. What happened is I got done with my version of it, and I realized this addresses legislators, but we've got a lot of other elected folks that need to be held accountable also. So, I'm asking for a vast classification to a vaguely written process. It's a great start. This is now year 2 of this rule, right? It's still, and even the omitted version we've got now that we got to so far, it's still a very rough draft, which lacks clarity of timelines. I'm sorry, of definitions and the qualifiers for eligibility to be censured for certain offices. We need to spend time considering the rewrite. I believe every rule that we talk about needs to consider accountability, how we hold people accountable to our rules. I'll stop there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Eric Blake, Jim Pickles on deck.
All right. Hello, Mr. Chairman. In my county, Eric Blake, Ellis County, SD22. In my county of Ellis, the CEC bylaws adopted last biennium included these words: "Nothing shall be construed as to prevent any precinct chair from working for or endorsing any Republican candidate he or she chooses. For the county executive committee to endorse in a race with 2 or more Republican candidates, a 60% supermajority of those present is required, provided a quorum of the full committee membership is present." We added these rules to our bylaws in accordance with the only thing we could find in the state rules on neutrality. That is the clause in Rule 44 that says no rule or bylaw enacted by any division of the party at any level demands party neutral and inter-party contests shall be observed with respect to the named office holder. In other words, the only time, if you have a rule on neutrality, the only time you can violate that rule on neutrality is when Rule 44 says you no longer have to be neutral. But we were missing, where is the rule on neutrality? Why does 44 have to be this little footnote that says, oh, you can have a rule on neutrality, but we don't have it? And it has been a source of contention in Ellis County. We have some precinct chairs who say, my role in the primary is to put out an endorsement list saying, party needs these people elected. And there have been other people who said, your role as a party in the primary is to stand back and let the public elected. If the public thinks the party's headed in the wrong direction, the primary is their chance to say, where should the party be headed, by who they elect and not by the incumbents putting their thumbs on the scale. And it is both sides have a valid argument. Both sides are very strong and very forthcoming in why they think their side is right, and that source of contention spilled out, and we had a lot of sour voters that said, this inter-party fighting is a mess, I'm not going to vote, and it turned voters off. We absolutely need something in the state rules applied to all the counties that says what our stance is on inter-party. Either we require that all party officials at all levels be neutral from the party's standpoint, but you can still do personal endorsements, that your right to a First Amendment endorsement is okay. but do that with a disclaimer that when you say, I endorse so and so to run for this race, I happen to be a party officer, but I'm doing this endorsement in my personal capacity and not as a voice of the party. I would love to have a requirement that says any person endorsing in any person serving in a party office is free to make endorsements in a primary election, but only if the endorsement includes a disclaimer. This endorsement is being made in a personal capacity and not on behalf of the Republican Party. If we make that a state rule, it would apply across the board from the state chair down to the precinct chair. If you put out an endorsement, you're fine to do so. You're not swaying the race in the name of the party. You're only swaying the race in the name of yourself as a person, and you're not lending your role in the party as credence to why you're doing the endorsement. You're doing it personally. That's your First Amendment right to endorse, but it is not your First Amendment right to say what the party as a whole says, only what you as a person says. I think the party should be neutral in primaries, so I think we need a statewide rule on this, whether that be Rule 44, a new rule, or tweaking somewhere else. This is your committee opportunity to add a rule on intra-party neutrality, and I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Pickle, Jerry Fisher on deck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Rinaldi. Jim Pickle, Senate District 8, also chair of the Rules Committee. Been a practicing trial lawyer for 2 years now. I've been involved in 100 arbitrations, either as an arbitrator for the AAA or fighting for or against a party in arbitration. I've written arbitration agreements for companies and banks. I think I'm sort of know a lot about arbitration. So I decided that I would try to, since we're trying to get away from state law and state courts and all that kind of stuff and become a party that can resolve its own disputes, I put together Rule 47. So I give you all that background to tell you that if you're going to tweak any part of Rule 47, just keep in mind that it was written by not just me, but other experienced lawyers that know how courts interpret and apply arbitration agreements. So you be very, very careful tweaking any of the language, because if you do, it's down silly. The chain one word can make that rule either applicable or inapplicable in a particular situation. Okay. So for instance, just now when Rule 8 came up, right? So they're going to together. You have to have a party. A person has to individually agree to go to arbitration before the court works. So for instance, if a bank and an insurance company have an agreement between themselves that they'll arbitrate, that doesn't bind the president of the bank personally. And if you just say the CEC, that does not bind individual precinct chairs. Individual precinct chairs have to agree to be bound before a court will enforce the agreement. So again, these rules are written by experienced lawyers, and there's legal reasons why every word in them matters. So if you're going to tweak these rules, be very careful, because you could literally waste everybody's time by passing a rule that is now meaningless. Also, the last guy that spoke about the inter-party rule, he's right. We need one. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, Jerry Fisher, Leslie Thomas on deck.
Hi, Jerry Fisher. Whoa. I didn't bring my stool, so can you see me? SREC Senate District 2, and also co-chair for the legislative priorities this past session, where we were able to get 47 priority bills passed. Yay. But if y'all remember what happened with the abortion bill, we almost had abortion legal in Texas. The abortion bill was only stopped because of tying it to federal overreach priority of the FDA. We need to put our core principles with legislative priorities to be advocated by the LP committee. So please add this to Rule 43A and Rule 34C. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie.
Hello, I'm Leslie Thomas. I'm not a delegate.
Steve Duvall on deck. Go ahead.
I'm not a delegate. I'm here speaking on behalf of my official capacity as SREC member in Rule 14 Alpha. I'm also here to advocate for addition in 34C and 43A to add core principles to legislative priorities. In Rule 44, it is listed. I'll read it to you as soon as where the sentence starts. We, for 3 or more actions taken by the officeholder current term in opposition to the core principles of the Republican Party of Texas defined in the preamble of the party. So we're asking you to put that in to make it consistent with 34C and 34A. We have member Dr. Melinda Morris, who was on the legislative party's team, who will be carrying this. Anyway, we advocate for this because we cannot always put, as legislative parties, right to life and Second Amendment. And we all know that those are the two legs that the Republican Party of Texas stands on. And we need to be able to protect those every single session. So if you could put that into 34C and 43A, it would free up those planks of legislative parties so that we could protect those during the session for our legislative priorities.
Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate for committee members to ask questions?
Yeah, you have 1 minute left.
Okay, Leslie, can you provide the language to me for
Sure.
34C? And yeah, thank you.
Is that great? Oh, I'm sorry. Stephen Duval and Stas is next.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Duval. I'm a precinct chair in Wilson County. I'm definitely novice with respect to all the people in this room, but I speak on what I believe is an important issue. I speak in favor of an amendment to Rule 44 so that 2/3 or 3/5 of the SREC have the power to censure any member of the House, provided two things: the member did not vote for the Republican caucus candidate for Speaker, and the Republican caucus recommends censure. This amendment allows the SREC to assist the Republican caucus with the enforcement of the caucus rules. Well, a little over 1 year ago, the governor, the lieutenant governor, and attorney general felt this was an important issue. Surely there are two members on this committee who support spending 10 minutes debating it. The current practice is for a small group of Republicans who were elected under the Republican brand to negotiate with woke progressives to select the speaker, appoint the committee chairs, draft the House rules, and decide the legislative priorities. Does this make any sense? It doesn't make any sense to me. I think most people in this room agree with that. The question is, why does it continue? A first explanation is personal ambition. The members are politicians, a very rare skill, and for the lure of a committee chair, may be too strong for them to resist. But these members probably share 80% of my values. So the question becomes, why are they negotiating with woke progressives instead of fellow Republicans? I suspect the underlying issue is rural-urban divide. Most of the state is rural, most of the population is urban. Except for oil money, most of the wealth is urban. Politically, urban dominates the rural. The existence of the rural population's way of life is threatened. Data centers taking their water, environmentalists trying to shut down the oil industry. Desperate men and women do desperate things when their way of life is threatened. They will even hold their nose and do a deal with woke progressives. But there has to be a better way. Let's give the members of the Republican caucus the means to encourage Republican unity. Republicans should negotiate with Republicans, not woke progressives. Surely there are two members of this committee who believe that this amendment is worthy of 10 minutes of debate. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Clint Stutz, Lois Kendall on deck.
Clint Stutz, SD3. I'd like to encourage the committee to amend Rule 44 with a section from Dan Hunt's rewrite, which was left on the table. If you look at Section B, where it says definitions, it makes clear what counts as a violation or action against our principles, preamble, and priorities. Now, while that list isn't exhaustive, it's certainly far more clear than the current language. So please add this section to Rule 44. Now, I'd also like to ask the committee to discuss amending Rule 43 to simply have candidates pledge to either support or do no harm to our principles, preamble, platform, and priorities. This would basically be a pledge to actually just be on our team, and I feel like that's not too much to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Lois Kendall, Paul Hale on deck.
Thank you. Lois Kendall, Precinct Chair, 315, Russ County, SD1. Changing the subject to Rule 8A on the subject of county chairs being candidates for county chair having the requirement of getting 2 precinct chairs to sign off on their petition to be on the ballot. In our county, in this previous election cycle, we had to fend off a hostile takeover by an undisclosed, highly financed challenger who had decided that he wanted to be chairman of our party, had never been to a single meeting, and he showed up the day before the deadline and hadn't read the bylaws, didn't know that he needed 2 signatures, and immediately started campaigning amongst the precinct chairs to get those 2 signatures. That rule protected our party from having to deal with an alien invasion, essentially. So please keep Rule 8A. If there's any discussion on it, feel free to ask me any questions. I'm sure that there are other counties experiencing other things, but I just wanted to add Russ County's experience to that conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Paul Hale and Deborah Damon after Paul.
Thank you, Chairman. Paul Anthony Hale, SREC, SD1. I want to speak to the spirit of accountability and Rule 44 and Penalty 3. And I've only got time for a fraction of these offenses that I'm about to tell you about. And the most embarrassing display of Republican misrepresentation in the history of Texas politics was put forth against we, the Republican people of Texas, after 26 representatives that wear our uniform on December 6th and 7th, they joined and empowered Democrats. Then they passed a pro-Democrat rules package, shutting out our conservatives. They allowed the Democrats to not only write it, an Obama Democrat, a homosexual Obama Democrat, wrote the rules package, presented it in Adolf Hitler fashion, shut our people down. If that sounds extreme, it is. I witnessed it. It was very extreme. And then they gave $3 million of our tax monies to Democrats to start their own subcommittees, a mockery of that. And then they used the House to commit blasphemy, honor pagan religions, honor homosexual marriage, make fun of Christians, make fun of the SREC, make fun of the RPT, and the very voters that voted them into office. They blocked our conservative bills to later water them down, write them themselves, and say, look at what I did. Like Craig said, we washed your car. After they washed it, they went and wrecked it, and then they tell their voters, look, I washed your car. They didn't tell you about wrecking it. But they blocked our conservative bills and presented watered down bills so bad that the Trump administration scolded them for it. Said, why did y'all give us bad bills? Then they gave our enemies our tax monies. They gave Hollywood $1.5 billion. And they mocked, in my opinion, our most model SREC member that we've ever had. They mocked Jill Glover, and she was dead and wasn't here to defend herself. They paired her up with Cecilia Richards, the abortion queen, said, if you're going to honor this one, you got to honor her too. What a disgrace to our SREC, and to see SREC go take up for those people that done that to us. I question that. And They mocked our legislative process by having 1-minute sessions. And, you know, at some point, accountability really does matter. Are we Republicans? Are we some kind of twisted far left Democrats? I am a lifetime Republican and I am offended by this thing. Some people need to answer for it. There needs to be accountability. So I end with this rhetorical question. What would these people have to do? How far would they have to go to rouse you enough to want to hold them accountable? And I'm just asking, I know the answer to that, and you do too.
Time's up, Paul.
They've crossed
Thank
the
you.
line with me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Deborah?
Good morning, Chairman, committee members. Thank you for being here this morning and listening to us. So I'm here to speak about, I'm Barbara Duman, Williams County Precinct Chair, and here to speak about the eligibility to serve on the executive committees. The proposal that I had put forward was no paid employee of the Republican Party of Texas, any county Republican Party, or any paid employee employed by elected political or public official shall serve as an elected or appointed member of the state Republican Executive Committee or any county executive committee. This was, and any member who accepts such employment during his or her term shall automatically vacate the office upon commencement of such employment. And I do want to clarify, this is not targeted for any individual. Michelle Evans is my county chair, and she is a hard worker. And this is not about that at all. Unfortunately, it's the example that we can use today, but I did want to clarify that, and I was actually kind of offended by that. But the reasons this was put forward from my side, and I don't know if other people had put this forward, but it doesn't regulate employees. It establishes qualifications for service on the party's governing committees. Rule 8 is where it was suggested because it governs the organization, the compensation, and membership of executive committees. And the reasons for this was it prevented conflicts of influence of interest. Executive committee members are elected or appointed to represent grassroots Republicans and exercise independent judgment. Employees of the party or elected officials maintain a direct financial relationship with those who hire them, creating an inherent conflict between their responsibility to the grassroots and their obligation to their employer. It happens. Preserves grassroots representation. The SREC and CECs were established as representative bodies of Republican voters, not an extension of party staff or elected officials' offices. This amendment helps ensure that executive committees remain accountable to the Republicans they represent rather than to political employers. It protects independent representation. Executive committee seats are limited positions intended to represent the Republicans within their district or county. When a paid employee of the party or an elected public official occupies one of those seats, another Republican without financial relationship to party leadership or elected officials is denied the opportunity to serve their voters. The amendment helps ensure that the state party and executive committee members remain primarily accountable to the voters. It strengthens public confidence. Clear separation between paid political employment and executive committee service promotes confidence that party decisions are being made by independent representatives acting on behalf of Republican voters. And lastly, it's consistent with conservative principles. We are a Republican form of government. Republicans have long advocated for checks and balances, decentralization of power and accountability to the people, separating paid political employment from service on governing committees, advances those principles and helps maintain the independence of the party governance. And one thing I would add on that too, and you guys probably won't like this, but I'll just put it out there. These paid staff members we should consider possibly not allowing them to serve on committees because you've got the same reasons right here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to testify? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. David Stein, Smith County Republican Party Chair, SD1. Just a couple logistical things. So one is on the bylaws review. Um, Here's what I would recommend. What happens is logistically, you review the bylaws at the first organizational meeting, and usually it can go on the back shelf and not get addressed. And what we wind up with is the same bylaws existing for multiple years. What I would recommend is since they went through a process to get where they are, leave them in place and add this to wherever appropriate, leave them in place, but recommend a specific review period, a specific appointment of a bylaws committee to review what it is that that new body of elected precinct chairs would like to see. So that's number one. The secondly, on the vacancy, and I'm not sure where that's going to go, if that's going to get picked up later, but as hard as it is to find precinct chairs to volunteer for the positions, uh, I wouldn't want to put any limitations on how we can recruit them or when we can appoint them, especially when we're at the position right now of an upcoming general election. I need precinct chairs in those places like yesterday. And if we get folks that we can appoint at this meeting, then so be it. So please don't put restrictions on that. And finally, Rule 8A, I understand why it was put in 11 years ago, but there are unintended consequences of this, and that is it can put the decision to allow somebody on the ballot in the hands of too few people. And so what I would recommend, I'm not a fan of Rule 8A. I understand why it went in, but anything that would restrict ballot access for someone who wants to step up and serve should not be limited.
Thank you. Anyone else? See, go ahead.
Lisa Thomas, precinct chair for Harris County 73, and also state director for Monitor America. Didn't plan to testify, but just listening, thought I would just share with you all what I hear across the state. I personally do not endorse as a precinct chair unless I have surveyed my entire precinct. I've heard comments across the state that says my precinct chair endorsed someone that I can't get behind. So I'm just throwing these comments out to you for your own benefit. The other issue is when I talk about come to convention, we're going to elect our SREC. People say, I can't come to convention, I can't afford it. Others say there's not enough delegate spots. I don't know how you would, I'm not advocating one way or the other, I'm simply sharing feedback to you that it is limited to a small group of people to elect their representatives. And many have heard the thought that they want county chairs elected by knowledgeable Republicans at convention. The grassroots Republicans, moms, dads, that can't participate for whatever reason, hope that they can continue to do that at the ballot board, ballot box. You can tell I work at ballot board. So again, I'm not advocating one way or the other. I leave this to you all's wonderful judgment. I'm just here to share with you the feedback I get across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we're going to move back to Rule 8 and Chris's amendment. I believe we have a friendly amendment to be proposed by Chris Sasha. Chris? All right. After the word promotes terrorism, add as defined by 8 USC section 1189 and Texas Penal Code section 70.01 echo. And those, I guess I'll wait for a second. E, subsection E.
No, 8 USC section.
Oh, 1189.
Texas Penal Code 71.01 E echo.
Thank you. Chris, do you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to inquire if we could possibly add after the words as defined, comma, without limitation, comma. The reason being there may be other statutes, both federally as well as within the state, that address that question.
I think you meant after the word by, do a comma.
After defined.
Defined without limitation.
Right there.
Comma without limitation, comma by. Is it,
That be acceptable?
Chris is willing to propose
Chris?
that as a friendly amendment, and it's acceptable to the author.
As reflected currently, Mr. Chair, that is acceptable.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yes.
Then, or maybe information, I'm not sure what this is. In that friendly amendment that was just made, I think the and should be an or. The way with and, it would have to be in both. With or, it could be in either one. Am I am I right understanding that and would require it to be in both?
No, I think it would be as defined by without limitation, those two statutes, which both seek to define the word terrorism. So I guess you could do. Chris. Yeah, that would be it. Fine. And Chris, can we change? I think this might address the issue as defined in rather than by both. Chris, is that
Yeah,
acceptable?
that would also make sense.
That is acceptable,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Who's?
Can I speak to the amendment?
Yes.
So what
Well,
this,
actually, it's a friendly amendment. It's been accepted. So
you go,
we're going to put you as for. Do you want to speak on the
can I just speak
amendment?
for a moment? Yes. All right. Talked with Chris about this. Basically, these sections of code define what is a foreign terrorist organization. We're not talking about, I got somebody locally ticked at me and they've tried to sit there and get some designation. We're talking about these groups that are known, active, hostile enemies of the United States. That's hopefully defining this will hopefully convey Chris's idea without being so broad to actually harm non-bad doers. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bad doers.
Really prepping.
That's good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
bit of information
John, go ahead.
on SD 31. And it's just because I don't know. So the question would be, is under a different federal administration, could this be construed? And the author can probably answer this very quickly. Can this be construed to take in people such as J6ers under this code?
The code section specifically apply for terrorist organizations.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. I heard Becky.
Becky Green, SD 17, speaking against. While I really appreciate the intent behind this amendment, my concern is that it's very broad and could easily be weaponized. And I'd like to give you an example. Materially promoting from or deriving benefit from any activity. And then down further in the paragraph, it says, talks about the penal code and then says, is in direct or material conflict with otherwise eroding the legislative priorities or principles, etc. Recently, during this convention cycle, several of us who are running for SREC have been benefited by a bunch of these mailers. They're random, they've gone out across the state, and I'm one of the recipients of this benefit. They say very nice things about me. They've gone out to all my SD 17 delegates, yet I do not know who the group is that claims to be putting these out. And it makes me nervous because I'm benefiting from them, yet I don't know who they are and I don't know what they promote. So I could see how this could be weaponized against people who are deriving benefit from a group, a dark money group, that's doing things that we have no control over and we're getting benefit from it. So that's my concern. We have no control over the benefit that we're receiving from this.
Mr. Chair. Oh,
Chris?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just want to comment very quickly to that. I believe the concept of knowingly would address those concerns. Obviously, we just heard that there was no knowledge. So appreciate the sentiment, but this is really targeted at someone that is knowingly engaging, meaning they are aware of their actions, not where someone else is acting ostensibly for them or has, even in this instance, stolen their identity.
My concern is with that, Mr.
Hold on,
Chairman,
hold on,
if I
Becky.
can answer back,
Hold on, Becky.
is that I
Go
could
ahead.
be accused of knowing and not know.
Absolutely.
And so that's the weaponization that I'm concerned about is, am I going to be accused of knowing and pretending not to know?
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak against the amendment.
Who is this?
Grant Dunwoody, SD7.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I do not know what an act that otherwise erodes the principles of the Republican Party of Texas includes. I think it's too open-ended. I think it's a Pandora's box for inter-party fighting, and for that reason, I oppose the amendment.
yeah. Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Yes.
And actually a question for the author. Chris, what is the actual reason for this? Because I'm unclear with that. I understand, kind of what you're doing, but I'm also concerned that you may pull in some January 6ers or something to that effect. But I'm also, I need to know what your real intent behind this is.
Well, the
Yes, go
intent
ahead.
was for the amendment to more or less speak for itself. I am personally a little concerned that we may be heading into some times where we have actors that will be subject to this, if this was present, who would be working against the preamble or the principles of our party and legislative priorities. We spend a lot of time in deriving these governing documents. They do define who we are and what we are and why we are. This was intended to address those who will knowingly and in a very active manner, engage in things that will be designed to erode, undermine, subvert those governing documents.
Okay, so
Obviously, the terrorism comments should speak for itself, and there are some activities within those ranks to work their way into this very party. You may not be aware of them, but they are.
So am I to assume then, and again, this is an assumption because you really didn't answer my question, but am I to assume then from what you're stating here, you're trying to actually weed out, and I'm just going to make this plain, weed out Islamic terrorism from coming in to the Republican Party or being a part of the Republican Party?
This is not directed specifically at that. It is given as a reference, but I think it's probably fair to say that Sharia, if you would
Uh-huh.
wish to bring that up,
Mm-hmm.
is incongruent with our Constitution.
And I'm not denying that. I'm just wondering why you're beating around the bush.
Craig, keep your comments to affirmative statements if you could, rather than crossing it. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, Grant Dunwoody, SD7.
Yes.
In connection with that, if I was
Are you
to,
speaking for or against?
I'm against.
But-
In connection with that, if I vote against a legislative priority in the session, and it's ultimately approved by the body as a whole, am I not knowingly and materially against advocating against a legislative priority adopted by the convention, and therefore in violation of this rule? It's just there's
Is
too
that a
many.
point of information, or are you making an
No. That's I'm making the point.
Okay.
Because there's any sort of unintended consequences that can arise from this rule. It's just too broad.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Daniel
Dan.
Hunt, SD3, speaking for.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think that what we have to understand is these 6 things are something that a county SRE, a county CEC or whatever can request. If they request it, it has to go and then be approved by the SREC. So this isn't like 3 people can get together and say, no, we don't like that guy. We're going to use this on him. It's going to have to go through multiple steps before it's adopted. So I think this is a good addition.
Okay. Anyone?
Sure. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment against the amendment, please.
Go ahead, Melinda.
We don't even know how to define Republican in our party. And the support of our platform, I've asked people, are you a Republican if you support 20% of our platform? Are you a Republican if you support 50%? Are you required to support 90% and the preamble to be considered a Republican? I mean, we've got people in Harris County, if they even support 5%, I'm shocked. We've got precinct chairs that have never voted in a Republican primary in Harris County. So we've got to define who we are first before we go attacking everybody else. And this past year, the fight in the Republican Party has turned inward. And we're supposed to be focused on fighting Democrats. And the more we bring this into the party, the more divisive it's going to be, and we'll end up destroying our party.
May I comment, Mr. Chair?
First, let me go to Amy.
Me Super SD12, point of information.
Yes.
For the member who submitted this, is there a reason, since you have chosen to reference the specific code 1189, that uses the word foreign or terrorism? Is the reason why you didn't include that as part of it? Because this is very specific.
The 2 code sections are referenced, and therefore its text is brought in by reference.
Right, but we're not putting foreign in front of terrorism as the amendment. We're referencing that. It is very specific. Must form terrorism.
The 2 code sections reference foreign terrorism. The amendment at its whole is in accordance with its terms. Chris, you had a point of information too.
Yeah, what entity is going to be making a determination that this person has been derelict in their duties? Who's handling the misconduct?
That would be the SREC enforcing the state party rules and making that determination.
In a similar manner to Rule 44?
Similar in that the SREC would be making the determination about whether one of these items was triggered. Yes.
I'd like to speak in support of the amendment.
Okay, go ahead. We got 50 seconds.
We recently in Travis County had a removal. We had a young man that was posting some very hot content, very neo-Nazi adjacent, whatnot, and the county party voted to expel. Under current rules, I'm not sure that that was actually a proper item. Giving a county party the option in extreme cases to be able to get a member expelled for behavior would be helpful when they're sitting there spouting these foreign terrorist organizations and supporting them publicly and really damaging the party brand. So I speak in favor.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Yeah, real quick.
Briefly, I
Or
just want
against.
to, I do want to say that I have conferred with Chris and he was able to address my concerns. And I also was able to clarify upon closer reading that my UFO example, not only was it bad, but it would have been inapplicable.
You for or against?
Would be in favor.
Okay.
So I just want to correct and clarify my prior statements and.
Okay, you got 10 seconds real quick.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to comment in regards and
Hold on, Justin.
That's it. I'm done. No,
Okay.
yield.
And
Uh,
we're
platform has been removed, so the comments which I respect, they wouldn't be applicable here.
we're out of time, and we're gonna vote. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Request to stand.
I stand up if standing vote. All in favor, please stand. Okay, hold on. Stay standing. Please sit. All opposed? Please sit. Any abstentions? Um,
One.
One abstention, so by a vote of 17-13, one abstention, the motion passes. Anything else on Rule 8? Justin?
Mr. Chairman, previously submitted this as Rule 3A, but I think after I've looked at it, we talked about it on the Zoom, I'm going to submit it as 8S or whatever the next. 8 just isn't long enough yet, so we need to try to go all the way to S if we could. I submitted it to the secretary.
Can I just get an idea too? How many of you guys have Rule 8 amendments left to address? How many?
Just one.
How many? One. One. So we got 1, 2, and Justin, right? Perfect. Thank you.
I just emailed it to you.
It's going to be at 11.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I know it seems long.
So without objection, I mean, we're going to take up Justin's, and then we're going to let Virgil Cruz, former Rules Chair, have the floor to address the committee after we're done considering Justin's. Is that what it is? Good. Is there a second? Second by Carmen. Would you like to address your motion?
I will. This is a bit unfortunate that it's come to our attention, but under the Texas Constitution and our election code, someone who is finally convicted of a felony is not eligible to hold public office. That same prohibition does not exist for party office. And so it is completely possible, as has happened in my district, that someone can be a convicted child abuser and remain with that conviction and then serve on our executive committee, which is, in my view, a real problem. What this rule does is it disqualifies from party office someone who has been finally convicted under a felony under the Texas Penal Code. That language is intentional. For example, drug offenses are under the Health and Safety Code, so would not be captured under this. The Texas Penal Code is also exclusive to state felonies, not felonies that are under federal statute or felonies that are under other state laws that may have different values or priorities as Texas. The Texas Penal Code involves assaultive, violent offenses and offenses involving moral turpitude and theft. And so what this does is upon it doesn't create an obligation by state party chair or county chair to conduct an investigation, but if they are presented not with rumor, but with a certified copy of the actual conviction, they will send notice to the alleged person who had been convicted within 10 days to prove it's either not them, which is normally pretty clear because the date of births are normally on the judgments of conviction, that they have been declared innocent, that their conviction was vacated, that they've been pardoned or otherwise relieved of their disabilities, or that 20 years has elapsed. This is friendlier and less incumbent than the state statutory bar on holding public office. That's forever, and it doesn't matter which felony. This also does not prohibit somebody from serving as a delegate or alternate to a convention. Um, if no evidence of one of those things is not presented within 10 days, the office would be declared vacant and filled in accordance with the law and the rules. Um, it is unfortunate to have to bring this up, but we've spent a lot of time uh, deciding who we are and what we do and do not want in our party. And I hope that we can, and this may be the death knell, but I hope that we can mostly agree that this is not who needs to be holding party office in the Republican Party of Texas.
Anyone else? Yes.
I'd like to speak.
For or against?
I'm against at the moment. I could be convinced. But what Randy SC2, by the same type of thing in the era of lawfare, we have a president that's serving who has been through lawfare means branded, and I believe quite fictitiously, but through pretended offenses to be a felon. And the left uses that to great advantage. And I do kind of worry about getting felonized based on pretended acts of legislation, pretended acts of prosecution. So I'm cautioning care here, and just looking at this, I'm not quite seeing any protection against lawfare.
Anyone else?
I'm happy to respond if you.
Yes. If you ever want to respond, just
Okay.
raise your hand.
So to the gentleman from SD2, I wrote the Texas Penal Code because it is a body of law that for 30 years has been controlled by Republicans. It would not include felonies from New York or some obscure financial offense under the Texas Finance Code. There's the Texas Occupations Code, like practicing an occupation without a license, that type of thing. The Texas Penal Code specifically indicates, I mean, we're talking theft, assaultive offenses, sexual offenses, violent offenses. It's 90% of the Texas Penal Code. And this was narrowly tailored to include those types of offenses in Texas as defined by Texas law to exclude the very types of things that you validly expressed concern about.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, SD3, speaking for.
Go ahead.
I think this is actually a good amendment.
Oh, I didn't write
because it, at the very beginning, says finally convicted, which means that all appeals have been exercised and exhausted. So this isn't something that's just a local random rogue court has convicted somebody of something. This is going to have gone through the process. So I think this is actually a good amendment.
Mr. Chair,
Right here at the bottom. Right here.
David Westbrook, SC19. I'd have a friendly amendment that I'd like to propose that might assuage some of SD2's concerns.
Can you restate what you just said?
I said, this is David Westbrook, SD19. I have a friendly amendment I'd like to propose. Justin's amendment. Add the word exclusively in front, between felony and under.
Felony, so it would say if a person is finally convicted
Maybe I'm in the wrong place.
exclusively under the Texas Penal Code, I think that strengthens the concern. I have no objection.
That seems to be redundant, and it doesn't seem like it would flow well.
It says under the election code, under the penal code.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Yes.
At Patrick, SD16. Specifically, why are we not extending this to people for their position of delegate or alternate for the convention?
I wanted it to be because I think that it opens the door to I mean, we have 7,000 delegates, or upwards of 10,000. I think that opens the door to turning in other words, we're talking about a 3-day convention, and then we're talking about having to implement a process for bringing that forth. There's not enough time frequently to bring challenge, give them opportunity to be heard. Someone from across the state maybe make that decision, not the local chair or the county chair. So it was intended to really, I don't think a delegate is a party office. It's part of the party process, and that was my thought there.
Okay, I was just thinking about
we have time.
voting on our rules and platforms. One other question, if I could.
Let me go over here real quick.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, point of information for the author.
Um,
So the question is that under the definition of felony, does that include capital felonies all the way through state jail felonies under Texas Penal Code?
It does. I'm sorry. Texas defines what a felony is. If it's capital, first, second, third, or jail felony, it is a felony.
Okay, so speaking against the particular
Go ahead.
amendment, so I think the issue I have is just the 20-year time frame when it comes to the elapsement of any completion of offense. So, for example, let's say under a state jail felonies are, as my understanding, is 6-month to 2-year time frames in terms of incarceration. So, let's say, for example, I get convicted of a DWI. That means that first, I have to serve that time, which 6 months to 2 years, and then after that, I have to wait 20 years before I can, something to where, let's say, if I'm in my 20s, and then now I have to wait until my 40s until I can, complete, or at least under this amendment, basically be able to now, become part of this process. I just that 20-year time frame I think is just too lengthy, especially for like a jail felony, where in this case, any crimes like that term would also apply.
Thank you. We're out of time on 4. Do we have any more to speak? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Stand up if you're in favor of the amendment.
Well, my point is this: 20 years, that's nice. If you can get protected on felony, you don't get to vote.
Please sit down. Stand if you're opposed.
You can't get your rights back.
Thank you. Please sit down. The ayes have it. The motion passes. I'm going to, if there's no objection, allow Virgil Cruz to address the body. Former Rules Chair, hearing none.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members. I appreciate the special indulgence of being able to testify a little bit longer than the ordinary time period. So, again, I'm representing myself here today. I'm not representing RPT as secretary or as the prospective convention secretary. So, just making that clear before I begin. So, I'm the custodian of the rules between conventions. Makes me real nervous when someone else has custodianship for a few days, but I'm very glad that your secretary has got the document in good hands. So to respect your time, I'm going to go pretty rapid fire. I am not sure where you are. I have not had a chance to check on the live document, so there may be things that I address that you've already covered, and if so, I beg your indulgence on that. So if you receive the memo for me, I'm just going to go sequentially through it. That would be an 8-page memo. So I'm beginning with item number 1, Rule 40. This is on the time limits for filing for national committeemen and committeewomen. I'm suggesting to the committee that you propose whatever language that you adopt in Rule 41, if you want to retain a 10-day rule for somebody declaring a letter of intent, I would suggest that national committeemen and committeewomen have the same time. And I know that we're going to you all will address certainly the Rule 41 language on that point. So just make it parallel, please. In Rule 41, this rule obviously became subject of much interest in recent weeks. I won't admit to who wrote the sentence 2 years ago or proposed that Rules Committee add it. Um, a 10-day deadline, I think, is a reasonable deadline for allowing production team and the convention delegates know who is interested in running for state chair and vice chair. I did not anticipate, nevertheless, that there would be discussion about what 10 days really meant. So if you wanted to be just super, super clear, a 240 hour, if you want to consider doing that, that would be eminently clear. Or we just do a better job at publicizing that deadline in the future. I think now that we've been through it one time, people will understand that there's a deadline for this, that um, if you do retain it. So that's my item number 1 and number 2. Moving on to item number 3, which I believe is semi-substantive. It's not particularly substantive, but it came to my attention as SRAC secretary during the term that the way that the Rule 7B7 is phrased, that there may be some question about whether you being the SREC, not you in this on this body, but whether the SREC could suspend Rule 7B7 and not take a roll call vote on a resolution, for instance, honoring someone who is living or deceased. So I think that if you add the words including a resolution in 7B7, it'll make it clear that yes, we can suspend, we the SREC could suspend that requirement for a roll call when circumstances make it awkward to do a roll call. Moving on to item number 4. This was something I think I saw my colleague Paul Hale in the room earlier. Is he here? I don't have specific language for this, and I don't have a particular recommendation one way or the other, but he did bring it to my attention. I included it on my list that the Rules Committee may want to consider also a letter of intent deadline for SRC members. I think that would be a pretty high administrative burden for somebody, and if it lands on the SREC secretary, for instance, I can personally say that I think that would be onerous. But nevertheless, if that's something that the delegates would like to do, something to consider, and maybe Mr. Hale can talk to that if he wishes. Number 5 is a suggestion that was brought to me by Greg Harrell of SREC SD22. I spoke to him last night about it, made sure that he was aware that I had included this. I don't have specific language. Number 5 is about logo use by candidates, either for party office or public office. And I think that that's something that an important topic that you may want to consider. I don't have specific language again. Item 6 is something that my colleague Don McDonald on the SREC brought to my attention, and it deals with how we restrict executive session information. That has been a problem in many bodies before where somebody leaks information. The specific requests that she make that I include in the memo are things that I believe are probably more properly placed in the SREC bylaws. Nevertheless, there may be some overlap with the RPT general rules. So that's item 6. Item 7 is regarding Rule 44 that in the process of doing Rule 44 concurrences over the last biennium, Scott Bowen, who is a former SREC and candidate for state representative, mentioned that there was no minimum time for office holders to speak in the rule. And if your version of Rule 44 includes time for them to be able to speak, if they're under review by Rule 44, a minimum time I think would be very wise here. Item number 8. This was something brought to my attention by Steve Evans, SREC SD28, about a return receipt in the censure process, and we don't have the current Rule 44 doesn't mention that we require a return receipt, a certified mail return receipt. I would suggest that if you want to include something, that you may want to follow the language in Rule 27, which regards delegate challenges. So we already have provision in 27 about making sure that there's certified mail return receipt. So you may want to include that in Rule 44. Item number 9 on my list is agenda for precinct conventions. I'm asking the committee to consider switching items F and G in Rule 21, and that is because if you elect delegates before you do resolutions, to use a technical term, if somebody offers a series of wackadoodle resolutions, it may be the precinct convention may want to exclude them from being a delegate to the SD or county convention. So that was my choice of adjective. Okay, moving on to to my item number 10. This was a simple oversight 2 years ago in Rule 30, Part F. We didn't include the permanent legislative priorities on the county or senatorial district agenda. I think that's a simple fix. The rest of the rule cites that that is a mandatory committee. It was a mandatory committee at the county SD level for the first time, and I think it's necessary just to make that easy correction. Item number 11. This was something brought to me by Karen Marshall, who is on the SRAC from SD 26, regarding a little more specific guidance in legislative priorities committee at the county and SD level. I do not have specific language here, but um, clearly there were, being the first time that we did mandatory LP at the county SD level, there were some counties and SDs that had questions about how to proceed or how many they would include. There is a numerical limit in Rule 29, so I don't know that that needs to be further addressed. Nevertheless, I included it in the memo. Number 12 is Rule 8, G. Rule 8, of course, you'll probably move stuff around and add stuff and subtract stuff. Right now, the SREC streams its meetings, but we're not required to archive them and have them posted. So for transparency, it may be a good idea to require that those meetings be made available for people to view later. Number 13 on my list is something that parliamentarian Charles Bass brought to my attention, and it was regarding the new changes in postmark rules by the United States Postal Service. There are several places where we talk about postal deadlines in the rules, and so it may be useful for you guys to review where that's present and see if you need to make any changes in light of the new rules about postmarks. Item 14 is back to Rule 8 on organization, that perhaps it may be wise to have a rule that requires a filing deadline for people filling vacancies on the state Republican Executive Committee. I do cite the election code on filling vacancies. That may be relevant to this. I don't have specific language on this item. Item 15 is Rule 23, capital A. And a little bit of background on this. We, the SREC, wrote a lengthy amendment or change to Rule 23A right after the decennial redistricting, and it was, in my opinion, it was terrible. It was severely flawed, and thankfully most of those items were deleted at the previous convention. It was actually part of a memo to this committee 2 years ago. Nevertheless, the main portion of item 4 in Rule 23A has a requirement that the SRC basically draw lines or make allocations for conventions based on or at a deadline that's before January. And as we know, with redistricting that was unexpected this past year, a lot of county commissioners, commissioners' courts were having to draw precinct lines after that deadline. Well, this actually put everybody in violation of the rules who had late changes to their voting precincts. So in light of that, not anticipating that that would be an issue, I think it would be appropriate to change shall in 23 capital A to may. That way the SREC is not putting itself in violation of something that's beyond their control. Moving on to Rule 41, this was brought to me by a delegate in my Senate district, and I cannot recall a time I won't tell you how many conventions I've been to, but in many years that someone who was running for state party chair or vice chair or national committeeman or committeewoman who got fewer than double-digit number of SDs or CDs, I cannot recall that they had a competitive stance on the floor. So right now, as you know, the rule has a requirement of minimum of 3 SDs or CDs in order to contest for those state party offices on the floor. I would suggest to this committee that it may be wise to increase the limit and get a more realistic, 6 SDs or CDs, or 40% of delegates by petition. So someone would have better historical information on that, but I don't think that someone who wins, 3 or 4 districts is honestly very competitive from a floor vote standpoint. So that was item 16. Item 17 is regarding minority reports of committees. And this is a non-substantive change. I just caught a capitalization error. I probably could have editing fix it after convention. Nevertheless, I'm asking you to capitalize convention chairman in about the middle of the section. Item number 18 is on previous question. I went back and researched rules going back, I don't know, 20 years. And there's what I call ramped awkwardness in the phrasing of the rule, and I'm suggesting some cleanup on that just to make it better worded. Moving on to item number 19, which I believe is semi-substantive. Right now, on 23, Part C, the rule reads, a temporary or permanent committee may originate resolutions or resolutions. I'm suggesting that we add or suggested legislative priorities as appropriate in order to correct a possible ambiguity in light of the fact that we have mandatory legislative priorities committees at county and SD conventions. And finally, on Rule 32, my 20th item, that is regarding the convention records and publication of delegate information to people who request it from the state committee. Whatever we do with that, I just wanted to include information about the important and specific explicit exclusion under the alternate address program. So people who are prosecutors or judges or other elected officials, people who would be in danger if their addresses are disclosed. So whatever you do on Rule 32, and I'm sure that will be territory for you to cover in this committee, please consider that if you do include that address are disclosed, you make an exception for those exclusions for people for safety. So again, I thank you for your time today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them at the chairman's request.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could Mr. Cruz define wackadoodle resolution?
I think the attorney, I'm not an attorney, but maybe the attorneys can help me out with that. You know it when you see it. Is that how it goes?
I cannot help you with that.
Listen first.
It's like pornography.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Virgil.
Thank you so much for the consideration, committee members, and good luck.
All right. By my count, we got 2 more left. Who's first?
Mr. Chairman, Chuck Burnett, ST20.
Go ahead, Chuck.
I'd like to address Rule P, 8P. Currently, the language states the voting members of the county executive committee are the county chairman and precinct chairman. No. Again, it says they're the voting members. Then it goes on to say an SREC member is a non-voting ex officio member of the CEC of every county with territory in his or her district without the right to make motions. I'd like to change that word without to say with the right to make motions. That's my single.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Carmen. Chuck, do you speak to it?
There, some of us, we cover several counties, and as we travel through our counties, these counties are under our care, and when we take to them information many times that from SREC meetings and so on that they're not aware of, and I think that to serve our counties better, we should have a right to be able to make motions to help our county parties.
Anyone else want to speak?
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, SD3. I have what I think might be a friendly amendment.
Okay. You state it.
With the right to make motions and speak at with the because we have a lot of counties that won't even let their SREC speak at a meeting.
Is that acceptable?
That's fine.
Okay. Anyone else?
Point of information. Are the SEC members elected from that area?
SREC members elected
Because
from.
what you're saying is that that the SRC now can make motions and speak in the CEC meetings. Is that what we're doing?
That's what this amendment would do if passed by the
Okay.
body.
So you see what happens to their SREC.
Mr.
So they're
Chair,
not elected.
Chris Bird, SD25, I'd like to speak in favor.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Please state your inquiry.
David Westbrook, SD19. the rule names them ex officio. Would this violate that as far as parliamentary procedure goes?
No, because the rule would supersede the default rule, and they would be ex officio members. They would just grant them the additional right to make motions and address the body. But they would still be non-voting.
Point of
Anyone else?
information.
Oh, yeah, Chris. Go ahead. Point of information. Who was that?
No, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to speak in favor.
There was a point of
That was
information.
me.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, if I guess my thought is if we're allowing the SRC members to actually
Let's just let me go to Chris, and I'll go to you to speak, and then you can get it up. And Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to speak briefly about this. I do think it is a very valuable add. There are some counties, believe it or not, which do not even recognize the very presence of an SREC member, much less allow them to speak or even make a motion. I'm aware of one county which went, I think, 6 years without updating any kind of bylaws. And that county suffered greatly because SREC members were not even allowed to speak or make motions or help the delegates at all. And the delegates very much were in desperate need of some additional aid during their meetings. I think it's a very good add. I request we vote in favor. Thank you.
Go ahead. Mr. Parker.
I'm wondering too, on the CEC, we can have members, well, we can have individuals, office holders or otherwise, who don't actually, or who
Are
are
you
not
speaking
actually.
for, against, or inquiry? Parliament. Are you speaking against or?
Now, yes, I'm speaking again.
Okay.
Fair enough. If we have members who are on CEC who are not precinct chairs, they cannot vote or make motions, correct?
Currently, yes.
Right. Okay, so if that's the case, they cannot vote or speak out. Wouldn't these SREC members be the same?
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, Brandon Moore, SD 21.
Yes.
Speaking in favor, approach it a little cautiously when you start opening things up and expanding like that because it cause unintended consequences. But I do see that this could bring some good value, especially in counties that are struggling, and could allow the SREC members to really help those counties. So I think I'll go ahead and speak, vote in favor of this one.
Chris.
I'm going to speak against, but I'm persuadable at the moment. Question for the mover of the amendment. Is there any concern on your part that you could have an SREC member walk in and obstinately claim that they have a right to interrupt proceedings and speak to the body during their process? Because right now, as an ex officio member, they already have the right to address the floor at the assembly as a member without a motion.
Does the auditor want to address it? You have 3 minutes, 30 seconds left.
Currently, it says without the right to make motions. And I simply want to change that for the SREC member may make motions, may actually speak to the body. So it's just one word change. I do think it adds value. I can tell you personally, I want to serve all the counties underneath my care. I want to have the ability to serve them and help them. And that's the intent of this amendment.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Becky Green, SD 17, speaking against. The concern that I have with this is that having 8 counties on SRC member, having 8 counties in my SD, I'm already a voting member of the executive committee in one of those counties. Now I would have a lot of power being able to vote in 8 different counties. So we're talking about just making a motion, not being able to vote. Well, I'm already allowed to speak as an SREC member, being ex officio. I think we need to be careful about giving SREC members a lot of power in a lot of places. I think we need to be cautious about this. We can already speak. We have a lot of influence. I think we need to be careful about this. I oppose it.
May I address that, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman?
Hold on. First, we're going to do Chuck to address it, then here, then we'll go to Chris.
Yes, sir. The very beginning of the rule states the only voting members are the chairman and the precinct chairs. The SREC does not have the right to vote unless you're a member of that body already. But otherwise, SREC members cannot. They can. I just want them to be able to talk, but they do not have the right already to vote.
Thank you.
Yeah, Robert Gray, SD6. So I was gonna add a friendly amendment, I hope, where it says an SRC member. That if you read the whole sentence, it doesn't quite make sense what it's saying. Well, it's like a friendly amendment that says an SRC member who is a non-voting ex officio member of the CEC, and I guess comma maybe. But if you read the sentence, it doesn't quite make sense what the ask is, because if I mean, I'll leave it at that.
Let me make a suggestion. The SREC, that statement establishes the SREC member as an ex officio member. So if you put who is, it recognizes a pre-existing thing that now doesn't exist because statement that establishes it was changed.
Okay,
I don't think it really works out that way.
Okay.
Chris, did you have something?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Patrick, speaking against.
Hold on. No, first behind you. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yes. Katie Jackson, SD18, voting against. Here's the reason why I'm against this. It's very simple. We have already determined that SREC members include the chair and the vice chair. As a county chair, I would not want either one of those people coming into my meeting and making a motion. They have no idea what happens in my county. Okay, not saying this is not a good idea or a bad idea, but SREC member includes the chair and the vice chair. If they're in the weeds in Aransas County, I am not the problem. It's somebody else. Something to think
Mr.
about.
Chairman.
Hang on.
Point of information. Oh.
Nope. Keep going.
The SREC members are required to provide guidance, which can be done through talking. You don't have to do it as a motion. You can talk, you can discuss, you can go out to dinner and discuss, you can go out to lunch and discuss. You do not have to do it in a meeting as official motion. It's all about people skills and leadership skills. They do not need to have the right to make a motion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next is Matt Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
For against.
I'm against, and I understand and am sympathetic to the movement's desires to help their SD, but as a grassroots, as Mr. Beckmeyer has said on a number of occasions, we're a bottoms-up organization. The SRAC member has a right to appear and to speak, but being able to make motions makes them more of an active participant in the county executive committee, which I think is beyond the scope of what we do as grassroots a body. I also think that, as my colleague here was saying, you don't necessarily have to have the right to make the motion yourself to be able to influence them. If you're active and you're talking to people, you can write a motion up or suggest it, and you should have somebody who is a member that you can get to act on your behalf for that motion. So there's other ways to achieve what you're wanting to do without empowering the SREC to be a participating actor within the CEC. I think that's sort of anti-grassroots, although I understand the sentiment, but I'm voting against. Thank you.
Thank you.
Point
Anyone
of
else?
information.
Mr.
Point
Chair.
of information.
Right here, Carmen.
Carmen, go ahead.
Just to clarify our current rules, is it only the SREC member that represents that county?
That's what it
Not all SREC members or the state or vice chair?
It would be They are an ex officio member of every county with territory in his or her district.
Okay,
So
thank you.
presumably, I guess you can interpret it by its terms.
Mr. Chair.
Dan, go ahead.
Daniel Hunt, SD3. I have another against, but then also what I think would be a friendly amendment. The problem is that many, not I won't say many, there are some county chairs who will not allow an SREC. Some won't even allow them to attend the meeting, which is just I don't understand that, but it happens. So my friendly
10
amendment
seconds.
is if we change it to an SREC committee man or woman, that would narrow it to not include the state chair and vice chair. Instead of the word member, use committee woman and committee man.
It's time. Do you have an amendment to propose?
Change the word member after the word SREC. Change that to committee woman and committee man. The word member.
Put how about not to change the tense of the entire statement? Each SREC committee man and committee woman.
Point of order, is this germane to the actual amendment that's proposed?
Yeah, that could be.
Point of order is whether it's germane to the actual amendment as proposed.
I think it is.
Well, first of all, let's figure out if it's friendly. They're proposing a friendly amendment. Do you accept the friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Then overruled.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I call the question on this.
Yeah, we're out of time except for 4. So we'll have a vote on whether to call the question. All in favor of calling the question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes. We'll now vote on the motion as amended by the friendly amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Noes have it. The motion fails.
Roll call vote?
Roll call vote or standing?
Standing vote.
Okay.
Making sure.
It's like you're gonna beat someone up over this one.
Not by intent.
Mr.
Everyone
Chair,
in favor, please stand.
Mr. Chairman, should the members of the body or members of this committee that are SEC members, should they be voting on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Point of inquiry, Mr. Chairman, Andy Eller, SD 24.
Yeah.
What exactly are we voting on? The entire amendment or?
The entire amendment.
Okay, thank you.
Please stand up if you are voting aye. Okay, please sit. Stand up if you're no. The nays have it. The motion fails.
We tried.
Then we have one more, I believe, right? Okay, what's our last one? And then we'll break for lunch because I can't go to lunch knowing that we still have Rule 8.
Daniel Hunt, SD3.
Go ahead.
Previously, I'd tried to offer this as 8K on the current existing 2024 rules. It is 8K, but I don't know what happened to our letters on the
We'll fix
working
the
document.
formatting. It's an old document with a lot of formatting craziness.
Right. So, oh, wait, hold on.
So it would be removal of county chairman for abandonment of office or ineligibility section.
Correct. What this amendment would do, the second sentence says nothing in this rule prohibits any person affiliated with the Republican Party of Texas from causing a resolution to be considered by the state Republican Executive Committee. That's the second sentence. I think that sentence needs to be moved to the end of that paragraph, not in the middle. It makes more sense grammatically if it's at the end.
Nothing in this rule prohibits. Any person affiliated with the causing the resolution to be considered by an executive committee. Okay, do you want to speak to it briefly?
Second.
Is there, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll speak to it briefly. It just makes more sense with this letter, with the sentence at the end of the paragraph.
Okay, anyone else? All right, we'll vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against? Thank you. And there being no more
Susan.
amendments to Rule 8.
Mr. Chairman, I have
passes.
amendment to Rule 8.
Who was that?
That's over here to your right. I said to the secretary
Go
on G. Uh, what I,
Oh, are you doing Virgil's?
yeah, this is what Virgil recommended from Rule 8G. Video recording. I'd like to add the language at the
Yeah,
end.
you're off the hook because it's Virgil's. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to add the following language to the end of Rule 8G. Video recordings of all public REC meetings shall be required and made available with a link to the RPT website.
Second. Oh, no. Well, actually, I'm going to withdraw my second. I don't know. I have an amendment, but it has to be seconded.
I'll
first
second
reading.
that, Mr. Chairman. Look for 86. I'll second.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel,
Let's get the language first before anyone looks. Go ahead. What's the exact wording? Video recordings of all public SREC meetings
Shall be required and made available with a link on the RPT website.
with a link. Okay.
More or less.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Dan Hunt, SD3. I think I have a friendly amendment. Made available on YouTube, on the RPT YouTube channel.
So with the link, I think that takes care of it.
Yeah, the link catches it.
So I was worried about the exact same thing because it costs money to put on the
It costs a
website.
lot of money. Yeah.
But by putting the link, super easy because we could do it in house. Just
I'll withdraw my amendment.
YouTube. Okay.
May I speak to my amendment?
Steve. Oh no, wait, Steve after pure amendment. And
okay. Speaking to the amendment, currently right now we have no way to look at the videos that are made of the the SREC meetings, and this is something that needs to be made available. It's relatively simple. Thank you.
First, Steve Atwell.
They're set to private.
Yes, Steve Atwell, SD9. If it is linked, is there a specific time you have for it to be accessed? Are these permanently archived? Is that the intent of this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Can I make a friendly amendment?
Go ahead, Brenda.
Plat SD12. I'd like to say that it's made always available, because sometimes in the last month or two, there's been a lot of complaints that we can't get to them. They're not there anymore. There's no way to find them. They've been taken down. And then they came back up. So if they're always made available, I think that would be
permanent.
I don't take that as a friendly amendment. I think it's self-evident already.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to vote on the amendment now. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. The motion passes. Seeing no other business on 8G, if there is no objection, we will move on from Rule 8. Seeing none, we are moved on from Rule 8. We're going to break for lunch now, come back here at 1 o'clock. We will come to order at 1 o'clock. So stand at ease.
1 o'clock. Next. Yes. What?
How are you? Thank you. We're going to start at the end and take all of these. Yeah, you're out way to explain. Actually want, we're gonna get to everything, so I don't want to like start inventing the rules to come up with. Like, oh, I was gonna put in earlier. Thank you very much. It's to all there. See, join us? No, I don't. We have over 40.
This 50 times. Got it.
Find the ball.
Oh, they might want this.
Okay. Well, especially for this is run by fracturing. Here's the thing I just thought of too. There's an easy way around it. We just have some of the clear identity. Just have to. I know that I'm also just. I didn't hear. Seems like the only reason.
The our pharmacist this second bills she has this customers severe yeah, it made like it's egregious. It's they asked where at first
Anxious and that lasts long. Oh, dual head. Oh. Yeah. I'm trying to think, what would stop, what convinces? I don't think. This is. just the roads that you fire over fire.
Okay, so I'll be yes. There's right here to go. But this, yeah, I would like to eat. Yes.
You're not here. No, it's fine. Now, we're going to go here. No.
What happened?
I don't even understand. Well, he's I would say that that's why the next is not. Yeah, it's like we're going to start. Yeah, and sure.
Now, I just.
Hey, Brandon.
Plus the one or the other law.
So the chair, vice chair, the male female thing is still specialized.
Okay, that was it.
I'm not a big fan, so it's still.
What? Yeah. Oh, it's part of it. Yeah. Change.
Yes, I think that would be
Platform or.
me.
What about running?
That I do want.
That, where you want the other.
You can file for us, the chair, vice chair, email. That's what I would like to see. I'm gonna put it. Don't know how old, because I know some have. There's and I'm just like, sure thing.